guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, I am Jessica. I would love to have you subscribe if you are new. I have tons of videos. I do lifestyle, mommy vlog, cleaning videos, just a little mix of everything. So yeah, if you're new, if you hit that subscribe button, that way you won't miss out on any future videos of mine. And it's just as simple as clicking that little red button and clicking the little notification bell next to it, and then you're done. So I decided to do this video today because this is something that has been completely life-changing for me, completely life-changing for my marriage, and I really want to share it with you in case you have not heard of it, and hopefully it will help some of y'all's relationships, whether or not you're in a wonderful place in your marriage or your relationship, or maybe you're in a rocky place. Hopefully these tips will help you. I think that no matter whether you're doing awesome or not, there's always room for improvement. Okay, so it's been a long time ago, and I don't even remember where I heard about this book or this author. I wish I could remember, but I can't. But when I heard about it, I thought it sounded really interesting, and so I ran out and I grabbed the book and I read it front to back the same day. So it's a super easy book to read, and if you don't like to read, which I'm not a huge reader, don't think that it's like this daunting task. Like I said, I read it front to back in the same day. It was super interesting and super easy to read. The book is The 5 Love Languages, and it is by the author Gary Chapman, and it is a #1 New York Times bestseller. Love this book. I think is like my second copy. They do have a men's version if your husband would like to read it. It's basically the same exact book. The cover's just more manly. And inside this book, you will find a test that you can take, and I'm going to tell you, if you don't know what 5 love languages are, I'm going to tell you all about what that is, and I'm going to tell you like my experience with it and everything. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into why I think this book is amazing and every relationship should have this in their lives. Okay, so Gary came up with 5 different love languages, and what he means by love languages, he believes that people can feel and accept or receive love and even show love in 5 different ways, and most people have 1 to 2 primary love languages. So I'm going to tell you what the 5 love languages are. The 5 love languages are word of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So words of affirmation is basically saying things like, obviously, I love you, you're beautiful, I'm proud of you, I'm so happy you're in my life, things like that. And I'll go a little more into each of these as we go on. And then the next is acts of service. So that's just doing things, doing the dishes, or running something to the dry cleaners for your spouse, or just doing a favor for them. Any kind of like favor is an act of service. And then receiving gifts, that's obviously gift giving, so just surprising with a gift, stopping on your way home from work and bringing home their favorite candy or whatever. And then quality time is obviously time spent with your spouse, but quality time, a lot of times, you know, especially when you have kids, you're around each other a lot, you're spending time together, but it's not quality time. So quality time is just you and your significant other doing something together where you're not, your faces aren't stuck in your phones or something like that, but that you're spending time together, one-on-one. And then the last one is physical touch, and that kind of speaks for itself. That could be sex, but that could also just be holding hands, hugging, kissing, sitting next to each other on the couch and touching. So in the back of the book, I'm going to show you here, there is this right here where it says profile for couples, and you will just flip the page and it has this test here that you can take, and I'm pretty sure you can take this test online as well. I don't even think you have to buy the book to take the test. And if I can find it, I will link it for you guys below as well. I will link this book as well. And so you just go through and you answer the questions, and it will tell you based on those what your love language is. So most people have 2 love languages on average, I would say. I think all of those are good. Nobody's going to say, you know, I don't like it when you give me gifts, or I don't like it when you touch me. I think most people wouldn't think those things, but most people have 2 things that just really make them feel loved. And so for me, my number one love language is words of affirmation, and my number two love language is quality time. And my husband's number one love language is acts of service, and his number two love language is physical touch, which most men's love language, either one or two, is going to be physical touch because they're men, and that's just going to be really common, you'll find. But I have this conversation with all of my friends, and I love learning people's love languages. I love hearing like what makes them feel loved and why. The challenge in this and why it is so life-changing is because more than likely you're going to find that your spouse's love language is completely different than yours. You may have one that matches up, but your primary most likely isn't going to be the same. I think that that is why so many marriages have such hard times or fail, because you're not speaking your partner's love language. You're speaking your love language. So you are showing your partner love the way that you receive love, and they don't receive love the same way. So for me, my love language is words of affirmation. So what makes me feel so loved is if I wake up in the morning and I go in the kitchen and there's a sweet note on the fridge that says, "I love you, hope you had a good day." Or if I get a sweet text that says, "I miss you." Or if my husband tells me I'm beautiful, or if he tells me I'm a good mom, or that he's proud of me, you know, so on and so forth. That's what really makes me feel loved, words. And then second from that is just quality time, when he spends time with me, with no other distractions, whether that be watching a movie, just lying there and talking, going fishing together, going for a walk, going to dinner, just anything where we're engaging and there's no other distractions. Now, his love language, his primary one, is acts of service. Lucky for him, basically my job as a stay-at-home mom and wife is his love language, because I mean, I'm constantly doing acts of service. I'm constantly making him sweet tea and making him dinner and doing his laundry and cleaning the house and paying the bills and doing little errands for him. So lucky for him, he tells me all the time that for the most part he just feels loved. Like, I'm not lacking in that department. But when I do those things, I don't feel like I'm showing him love. So I will still go beyond that and show him love and saying, "I'm so proud of you. You work so hard for our family. You're so handsome, you're such a good dad," and those type of things. And when we've had these conversations, you know, he said that he likes being told those things, but those aren't what makes him feel loved at all. He could live without me saying those things. In fact, that they're nice to hear, but he doesn't need to hear them, but he needs me to do acts of service for him. Like, for example, one huge thing I could do for him that really just like, wow, thank you, is to wash his truck. And I know that sounds so silly to some people. It sounds silly to me. But, I mean, like, if he washed my car, I would be like, "Thanks, babe." Awesome. For him, if I washed his truck, he would just think that was the best thing ever. And so learning your partner's love language is really important, because you could have been going years and years and years speaking your love language to them, thinking that you're just the most loving spouse ever, and turns out they weren't really receiving it that way. So the first, like I said, words of affirmation, just saying nice things, loving things, love notes, love text, cards. Cards are very important to me on holidays and things like that. For any occasion, a card means a lot to me. If your spouse turns out their words of affirmation, I'm your girl to go to ask, like, how do I love my spouse? Because that, I can tell you all of it. That's how I feel loved. In case you're wondering, my husband does have trouble speaking my love language. He's just a man of very few words. He may think something, but he doesn't think to speak it. So he has to constantly work on loving me in that way. Acts of service. So that's his love language, and we touched on that a little bit, just doing things. For a man to do an acts of service love towards a woman, that is like a lot of times doing the dishes for her, giving the kids a bath, folding a load of laundry, vacuuming the house. If you wanted to do a huge one, it would be, you know, "Hey honey, here is $100, go shopping, go get your nails done. I'm going to take care of the kids. We're going to clean the house for you when you get home. We're going to have dinner ready. This whole day is just going to be about pampering you. That's a huge act of service. And then let's see, receiving gifts. That would be obviously just gift giving. That's not my love language or my husband, so I'm not really familiar with it, but just randomly buying little gifts. And it doesn't have to be huge, expensive gifts. It could be a candy bar. You know, if your spouse, your significant other, you know, pay attention. Oh, I really like this and I would like to have it. Go sometime after that and buy it for them and surprise them with it. Just pay attention to things that they are looking at and like, and then surprise them with them. And then quality time, I touched on that a little bit too. Just sitting on the couch and watching a show together, that's huge for me. My husband enjoys that as well. Finding something you can watch that you both enjoy. Going for walks, doing your spouse's hobby with them, even if you don't love it, like fishing. I enjoy fishing. I'm a country girl at heart. I grew up in the country. I do enjoy fishing, but if I could never go fishing ever again in my life, it wouldn't bother me. My husband is obsessed with fishing. And he tries to go as often as he can. So enjoying his hobby with him, that's quality time. And then for him to spend quality time with me maybe would be, honestly, it's quality time with me. I really enjoy, like, when he comes from work and I'm cooking dinner, if he would just sit at the table and talk with me as I'm cooking dinner and just be there with me, that means a lot. Physical touch, obviously, sex is physical touch. That's going to be most humans' love language at one point or another. I mean, that's how we're designed. That's how you show affection when you're in a relationship. But it's more than that. Just holding hands, rubbing your partner's arm, touching their face, kissing them, hugging them, putting your hand on their leg when you're driving down the road, which my husband does a lot. I love to be touched. I mean, all the love languages, I mean, I'm not complaining about any of them, but physical touch would probably be my third love language. I just, like, if I'm in the kitchen cooking and he comes and gives me a hug, if we're walking and he holds my hand, things like that. So that one's pretty simple and self-explanatory. I feel like they're really all really super simple, but if you don't speak that love language, it may be hard for you to understand. Pinterest has a ton of articles about this. You can type in any love language and it will give you a list of ideas of ways you could speak that. But I highly recommend that you and your spouse or your partner sit down and take that test and figure out what love language you are, and then start talking about ways that you receive love, and then start implementing that into your marriage and see what happens. Because for me, it was a huge eye-opener. You want to make sure that your spouse feels important and they're feeling loved and they're feeling valued in your relationship, because if you don't, then that just sucks for everybody. And I think a lot of problems can stem from that. You want to kind of go back to the core of everything and where you started and why you are with this person and why you love them, and start showing them that love. So aside from the Pinterest articles on love languages, I'm sure you could Google it as well, but there's also another book that I highly recommend. This 100 Ways to Love Your Husband, and there's also a 100 Ways to Love Your Wife. They're written by a couple, Lisa Jacobson, and then her husband wrote the women's version, How to Love Your Wife, based on what they basically experienced together and have talked with each other and all of that about what makes one another feel loved. They give 100 ways to love your spouse, and they're biblically based, and whether you're religious or not, they're still a really great read. I'll read a couple to you to just give you an idea. They're super simple to read. So this is how it's going to look. So it just has, you know, the number and then just a tiny little paragraph about what. So number 7, for example, says, remember, he's not your girlfriend. He won't always understand or relate, so don't have unreasonable expectations. Often we want him to get what it is that we're feeling or struggling with, but he isn't me and never will be, thank goodness. He is made differently with different experiences and different strengths and weaknesses. So don't demand that he be something he can never be. So basically what that's saying is, like, as women, we'll sit down and we'll be like, oh my God, can you believe what so-and-so did? And she said this and it really made me feel this way and blah, 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 blah. Men are fixers. They're going to immediately think right directly to the problem and try to solve it. And that's what they're going to do. That's just how their minds work. Whereas if you go and talk to your girlfriend, she's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. I would totally feel the same way. And, you know, she's going to be on your team. She's going to feel all what you're feeling. She's totally going to get it. But don't expect your husband to get it. So you can love him in the way by respecting that about him and respecting what he can bring to your relationship. So you know that if you are having an issue with a girlfriend or something, that you can go to him and say, look, so-and-so did this and it made me feel this way and I'm really not sure what I should do. And then he can offer his advice, which he'll be more than happy to do. He should be more than happy to do. And he feels like he's helping you fix it, which is what men like to do. So that's what that one means. And then, let's see, that one's a little complicated. Number 20 says, care about your appearance, not out of vanity, but in making an effort to put forth your best. Freshen up a bit before you see him. Slip on that lovely blouse he often compliments you on. Brush out your hair and pretty up a bit. So, for example, my husband will say sometimes like, oh, I really love when you wear your hair that way. I really like that outfit you're wearing. So what that's saying is basically if you know your husband likes when you wear your hair a certain way, or you know he likes that certain outfit you wear, every once in a while try to do that for him. There's nothing wrong with trying to look good for your husband, and it's something that you should do. And I know as moms, if you're a mom, you know, my husband 90% of the time comes home to me still in my pajamas. That's just life, and he doesn't mind that. But sometimes it's nice to just dress up for them and to look cute for them. And I mean, same goes for them with us. Like sometimes I like to see him wear my favorite jeans or, you know, whatever. My husband has the other book, I think it's in his nightstand, and it's just going to say things like, I think one of them was draw a bath for her. If she enjoys taking baths, she's had a long day, draw a bath for her. Lead her in the bathroom, say, I've drawn this bath for you. Here's a glass of wine. I love you. I've got the kids. I'm going to lock the door. You won't hear from us for an hour. I think it's great. It's got a lot of really good tips. It teaches you the difference in how men and women think because we are so very different. So yeah, that book was totally life-changing for me. Again, it's the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and then the 100 Ways to Love Your Husband and to Love Your Wife. I will link all of those books below for you. If you guys know what your love languages are, I'm really curious to know in the comments if you'll let me know what they are. And if you want to share more about that and like what makes you feel loved, I would love to read that as well. If you have never heard of the 5 love languages before and this is your first time hearing about it, I would love to know that as well. Let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions for me, I would love to answer those for you. I would love to have a conversation about this. I'm highly, highly passionate about this theory and about this book. So if you want to go down in the comments and talk with me, I'm going to do my very best to go down there and chat with y'all. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want me to do more videos like this, I would love to do that for you. I can do a video on the topic of the ways to love your spouse or something, or maybe you guys can suggest something better. But yeah, so I don't keep rambling on. I hope you guys will give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.